Our Lady of Guadalupe, 1531. One of the most famous apparitions, the vision of Our Lady of Guadalupe occurred when an apparition of the Virgin Mary appeared to Saint Juan Diego upon Mount Tepeyac, calling him Hoy Coyote, her little son. The apparition instructed Diego to tell the bishop to build a church there. To convince him, she ordered him to pick a batch of flowers and carry them in his cloak to the local bishop. When he appeared at the bishop's door, the bishop noticed that Juan Diego had delivered flowers that were out of season, and that the cloak carrying them was miraculously imprinted with an image of Our Lady of Guadalupe. The bishop agreed to build a church there. When Diego returned home, he found that his sick uncle had been cured following a similar visitation by the Virgin Mary. Diego, changed by the experience, became a hermit and served the chapel built at the apparition site until his death in 1548. In 2002, he was made a saint by Pope John Paul II. He is the first known Amerindian saint. Notably, the cloak has survived to this day when, as it is made of cactus fibres, it should have disintegrated less than 20 years after the apparition. The cloak itself is also interesting. There is no undersketch on the image, giving it the appearance of a mirrored photograph, and within the eye one can see the detailed reflection of a bearded man. The stars on the cloak also closely match astronomical estimates of the night sky in December of 1531, the night of the apparition. This apparition is considered integral to the conversion of Mexico and much of Latin America and the Caribbean to Christianity. Our Lady of Guadalupe is now the patroness of Latin America and the first officially approved modern apparition. Our Lady of Lesajsk, 1578. This apparition occurred in Lesajsk, Poland, and involved a woodcutter named Thomas Mikulek. He received 2 visits. The first came when he was praying in the forest, and suddenly a bright light appeared in the figure of the Virgin Mary. She told him, "Thomas, I chose this place. Here my son will be loved and respected, and whosoever shall call upon my intercession will receive my blessing. Go to the rulers of the city, and tell them that it is my will and command, and also that of my son, that they build here a church dedicated to me." Thomas, afraid that he was unworthy of receiving such a vision, did not do so. The apparition then appeared to him again, insisting he follow through, and so Thomas went to the area's priest. However, he was not believed. Only after the priest's death, and thousands who had heard the story came to the spot on pilgrimage and experienced their own miracles, was a chapel finally built on the site by his successor. Originally a small wooden church, the site at Lesajsk has expanded today, with the help of the Polish King Sigismund III, to become an enormous basilica dedicated to the Virgin Mary, who was proclaimed the Queen of Poland in 1920. Our Lady of Siluva, 1608 to 1612. Occurring in Siluva, Lithuania, this apparition led to the conversion of an entire town from Calvinist Protestantism to Roman Catholicism. In 1532, the town of Siluva, located within the Kingdom of Lithuania, had been forcibly converted to Calvinism by the local governor. He confiscated church property and turned the land over to his supporters, entrenching his power. Eventually, all but the oldest villagers had converted to Calvinism. 76 years later, in the summer of 1608, Mary appeared to 4 young children as they were tending their ship. She was dressed in white and blue, holding a child and crying bitterly. Following this apparition, a blind man from a nearby village was led to the site, as he remembered helping a Catholic priest, Father Holubka, bury an ironclad chest filled with church treasures prior to the Calvinist takeover. Due to his poor eyesight, he was having difficulties locating the site. However, when he reached a place in which the children had seen the apparition of the Virgin Mary, his vision miraculously returned, and he identified the location of the box. The box was dug up and opened, where, perfectly preserved, was a painting of the Madonna and Child, several gold chalices and vestments, and the Catholic Church's deeds to the confiscated lands. Following this, a Catholic priest, Father Jonas Kazakavicius, took up a legal battle to win back the church land. This was very difficult, as during the period, the Lithuanian government was dominated by Protestants. In 1622, however, the government in Vilnius decided in favour of the Catholics, the town was reconverted, and a church was built on the site of the apparition. Our Lady of Laus, 1664 to 1718. Also known as Our Lady of Happy Meetings, this apparition took place between 1664 and 1718 in Saint-Etienne-en-Laus. It involved a woman, Benedicta Rencruel, who was visited first when she was 17, and then repeatedly throughout her life. During these meetings, the Virgin Mary requested that a house be built for priests and dedicated to the purpose of conversion, and that Benedicta pray continuously for sinners. She also witnessed visions of Christ on the cross and experienced the stigmata, a rare miracle when a person shows sudden wounds indicative of those suffered by Christ on the cross. Despite this, disagreements within the church led to Benedicta being imprisoned by unfriendly chaplains. An angel appeared to her during an imprisonment, which said, "There will always be troubles at Laus until the religious are established here." This message came to fruition in 2008, when the apparitions were officially approved by the bishop of the area. 120,000 people now visit Laus annually for pilgrimage, and it is a reported site for miraculous healings. In 2009, Pope Benedict XVI proclaimed Benedicta Renucurel as venerable, a step on the way to potential sainthood. Our Lady of the Miraculous Medal, 1830. Taking place in Paris, France, this apparition appeared to St. Catherine twice in 1830. In the first apparition, Catherine was awoken by a shining child at her bed, and told that Our Lady was waiting for her in the chapel. When she arrived, she first thought it was empty, but soon afterwards the Virgin Mary appeared and said, "My child, the good God wishes to give you a mission. Later I shall let you know what it is. You have much to suffer, but do not be afraid." She also revealed to Catherine that troubling times were ahead for the nation of France, saying, "My child, the times are evil, and misfortunes are about to overwhelm France. The throne will be destroyed, and the whole world convulsed by all sorts of calamities. But come to the foot of this altar. Here, graces will be poured out on all who ask for them, great or small. My eyes are always watching you, and I shall grant you many graces. Special graces will be given to all who ask for them, but people must pray." A few weeks later, the Bourbon monarchy of France would be overthrown in the July Revolution. Mary appeared for a second time the following November, in a more dramatic version of herself, holding a ring with many glowing jewels, but some were not glowing. She told Catherine, "These rays symbolize the graces I shed upon those who ask for them. The gems from which rays do not fall are the graces for which souls forget to ask." She was surrounded by the words, "O Mary, conceived without sin, pray for us who have recourse to thee." She told Catherine to keep the apparitions a secret to all except her confessional priest, and then commissioned her to have a medal made. This medal is the Miraculous Medal, and is now worn by Catholics all over the world, and has been distributed over 1 billion times. Catherine worked at a hospice until the end of her life, where she confided the story to her Mother Superior. Her body remains incorrupt at the convent chapel in Rue de Bach, and she was made a saint in 1947. Our Lady of Zion, 1842. Occurring in Rome, Italy, this apparition appeared to Marie-Alphonse Ratisbonne, who was a cynical and anti-Catholic Jewish man from a wealthy family. He began to wear the Miraculous Medal in order to please a friend of his, who was a baron of the church. Before putting it on, he had apparently proclaimed, "If it does me no good, at least it will do me no harm." While waiting for his friend one day in a church, he received a vision of the Virgin Mary. In his own words, "I was scarcely in the church when a total confusion came over me. When I looked up, it seemed to me that the entire church had been swallowed up in shadow, except one chapel. It was though all the light was concentrated in that single place. I looked over towards this chapel, whence so much light shone, and above the altar was a living figure, tall, majestic, beautiful, and full of mercy. It was the most holy Virgin Mary, resembling her figure on the Miraculous Medal. At this sight, I fell on my knees right where I stood. Unable to look up because of the blinding light, I fixed my glance on her hands, and in them I could read the expression of mercy and pardon. In the presence of the most blessed Virgin, even though she did not speak a word to me, I understood the frightful situation I was in, my sins, and the beauty of the Catholic faith." He then converted to Catholicism, joined the priesthood, and started a ministry for the conversion of Jews. Our Lady of La Salette, 1846. This apparition took place in La Salette, France. The Virgin Mary appeared to two children, Maximine and Melanie, who were both raised in the secular post-revolutionary tradition and were only infrequently taken to Mass by their parents. At first, the two children were walking together over a hill, when they came across who they described as a beautiful lady, crying atop a rock. She wore a headdress topped by a lucent crown with a band of roses, a dress with beams of light, and slippers edged with roses. When the children comforted her, she spoke to them about her desire for the conversion of sinners, and how her son was displeased that sins were being committed against him. She told the children to keep the Sabbath day holy by refraining from work and to respect the name of Jesus. Not doing so would result in great calamities, such as a great famine that would come in the years of 1846 to 1847, which she stated would result in the children under 7 years of age being seized with trembling and dying in their parents' arms. The grown-ups will pay for their sins by hunger, the grapes will rot, and the walnuts will turn bad. She finished, only a few rather old women go to Mass in the summer. All the rest work every Sunday throughout the summer, and in winter, when they don't know what to do with themselves, they go to Mass only to ridicule religion. During Lent, they flock to the butcher shops like dogs. She then concluded, "My children, you will make this known to all my people." She then walked away, up a steep path, and disappeared in a bright light. When the children told the story to their parents, they confirmed it as an apparition of the Blessed Virgin. Villagers came to the site, and when a piece broke from the rock, it transformed into a spring, whose waters healed a sickly woman. Upon the site, the Order of the Missionaries of La Salette was founded, a basilica was built, and the previously irreligious town regained its fading faith. Both children went into religious service. Melanie later became a nun, and Maximine would die in training to become a priest. La Salette remains an inspirational apparition, a story that, even in a place of fading faith, irreligiosity, and ridicule of the faithful, the sacred can return. Our Lady of Lourdes, 1858. This apparition appeared 18 times to a 14-year-old peasant girl, Bernadette Subaru, in Lourdes, France. This apparition first appeared to Bernadette as she was gathering firewood, and was a vision of a lady in white praying the rosary. But in the following days, she received more visions, although any companion she took with her did not see or hear anything. After one apparition, she was told to kiss the ground for the conversion of sinners, penance, 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 pray to God for sinners. And in another, she was told to drink the water of a muddy stream and eat the weeds growing along the bank. The fascinated townsfolk considered her with ridicule and suspicion. However, a few days later, the stream miraculously turned clear, and the ill who came to the stream were miraculously cured. Following this, Bernadette was ordered to go, tell the priests to bring people here in procession, and have a chapel built at this site. Despite speculation, Bernadette said that the apparition never told her who she was. When asked, the figure only remained silent. That was until the feast of the Annunciation. When she was asked, the figure folded her hands and said, "I am the Immaculate Conception." Bernadette did not know what this meant, but when it was referred to her priest, Father Peyramale, he immediately informed the bishop that Bernadette had experienced a visitation by the Virgin Mary. A basilica was built on the site under the leadership of Father Peyramale, and Bernadette left Lourdes in 1866 to join a religious order. The healing stream remains there to this day. Out of 5,000 reported cures at the stream, the church has validated 69 of them. According to Bernadette, the apparition also taught her a secret prayer, a series of 3 wonderful secrets, and the promise that she could not make her, Bernadette, happy in this world, but in the next. The Mother Mary made good on that promise in 1879, when Bernadette died after a short illness. She was declared a saint in 1933 by Pope Pius IX. Our Lady of Filippsdorf, Help of Christians, 1866. Occurring in Filippsdorf in Czechia, an apparition of the Virgin Mary appeared to heal a lady named Magdalene Cade, along with a dozen others shortly after. Magdalene had been bedridden due to illness. However, one night around 4 a.m. the Virgin Mary appeared to her, and Magdalene cried out, "Look at that shine! Look at that beauty!" The Virgin Mary, clothed in white and wearing a golden crown, then said, "My daughter, now you are healed." Her friends, who were nearby, could not see anything. Magdalene, however, immediately jumped out of bed, for she had been completely healed. She went on to live a long and healthy life, dying 39 years later. A basilica was later built in Filippsdorf and dedicated to Our Lady, the Help of Christians. Our Lady of Pontmain, Our Lady of Hope, 1871. This occurred in France during the Franco-Prussian War, in the small hamlet of Pontmain, which lay in the path of the Prussian army advancing towards Laval in western France. This apparition appeared to 4 children on the playground of a local convent school as an enormous figure in the sky, who rearranged the stars to create a long blue dress. She was visible only to the children, and said nothing. However, at her feet was a banner that read, "But pray, my children, God will hear you in a short time. My son allows himself to be moved by compassion." On the same day, the Prussians halted their advance into France when the Prussian commander reported that there was an invisible Madonna barring the way. An armistice was signed a few days later. 38 men and boys had been conscripted from Laval for the war, including the older brother of 2 of the children. All returned home alive. A basilica was built at the site, and 2 of the children, Joseph and Eugene, would later enter religious service. Our Lady of Gietrzwald, 1877. This occurred in Poland during a period where it was occupied by the 3 empires of Austria-Hungary, Germany, and Russia. In this apparition, a beautiful lady appeared to 2 girls, Justina and Barbara, as they were preparing for their first communion. They found her outside their church, sitting on a throne beneath a maple tree, holding the infant Jesus in her arms. When the girls asked Our Lady who she was, she replied in Polish, "I am the Blessed Virgin Mary of the Immaculate Conception," and requested that they pray the rosary daily and zealously. At a time where Poland was under persecution, Mary and Gietrzwald were forced to speak German for any official business. This apparition was a sign of great hope. She appeared to the children 9 times in total, giving advice each time. This included praying the rosary if one was ill, not to swear falsely for fear of the devil, that the sick should drink from the spring that she has blessed at the site, and that those parishes without priests should pray so that they will receive one. A basilica was built at the site, which remains a place of popular pilgrimage today. It is the only officially approved Polish apparition. Our Lady of Knock, 1879. Occurring in Knock, Ireland, this apparition is particularly unique for the presence of both the Virgin Mary and 2 other saints, St. John the Evangelist and St. Joseph. 15 witnesses saw all 3 appear in the late afternoon around an altar, and stood for 2 hours in the pouring rain reciting the rosary. The apparition was shining bright, and did not flicker or move in any way. The witnesses reported that the figures remained completely dry during the apparition, despite the heavy rain. According to a visionary, Mary was described as deep in prayer, with her eyes raised to heaven, her hands raised to the shoulders or a little higher, and the palms inclined slightly to the shoulders. They surrounded a table, where atop it sat a symbolic Lamb of God. St. John was in bishop's garments, while St. Joseph was looking up respectfully towards his spouse, Mary. Bridget Trench, one of the visionaries, went in, quote, "immediately to kiss, as I thought, the feet of the Blessed Virgin, but I felt nothing in the embrace but the wall, and I wondered why I could not feel with my hands the figures which I had so plainly and so distinctly seen." The site has seen many miracles since, and is now a dedicated shrine and place of pilgrimage. Our Lady of Fatima, 1917. Fatima is perhaps the most famous approved Marian apparition. In 1917, an apparition of the Virgin Mary appeared to 3 children, Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta, in Fatima, Portugal. She identified herself as Our Lady of the Rosary, urging the children to pray the rosary frequently for the conversion of sinners. She then gave the children 3 secrets containing prophecies for the future. These included the conversion of Russia and its consecration to the Immaculate Heart, by which Russia would be saved, pertinent as 1917 was the year of the Russian Revolution and the establishment of a communist state, a papal assassination attempt, a world war that would break out during the reign of Pius IX, and a terrible vision of hell. The apparition appeared 6 times in whole, with one appearance delayed due to the children being kidnapped by an anti-church civil administrator. Before her final appearance, the Virgin Mary revealed her controversial 3rd secret, which included a prophetic vision of the Pope. She also promised that, on October the 3rd, her final visitation, that they would see a miracle. 70,000 people came to see this miracle, and although they could not see the apparition, they described the sun dancing in the sky before falling to earth. Many journalists present to document the event later converted. A basilica was built at the site, and after rigorous interviews, the apparition was considered genuine by the Church. Despite this, the Vatican did not release the content of the first 2 secrets until the 1940s. The 3rd secret was revealed in 2000, which contained a vision of a man reminiscent of the Pope being murdered by firing squad. Pope John Paul II considered this to be a prophecy of the assassination attempt on his own life. He consecrated Russia to the Immaculate Heart shortly afterwards in 1984, and Lucia considered this to be the fulfillment of Fatima's prophecy. Controversy still remains on what exactly the Fatima prophecies mean, and if they are yet to be fulfilled. Lucia dos Santos later became a Carmelite nun, and lived to the age of 97. All 3 children are now canonized saints. Our Lady of Beauraing, 1932 to 1933. This apparition occurred in the town of Beauraing, Belgium. An apparition of the Virgin Mary appeared to 5 children 33 times over a period of several months between late 1932 and early 1933, speaking of herself as the Immaculate Conception. She instructed the children to pray, pray, pray for the conversion of sinners, and said that she desired a chapel to be built on the site for pilgrimage. She dispensed several secrets to the children. On her 33rd visit, she revealed to them her golden heart, an immaculate golden heart surrounded by rays of light. She then declared, "I will convert sinners. I am the Mother of God, the Queen of Heaven." The secrets given have never been revealed. Our Lady of Banneux, 1933. Also known as the Virgin of the Poor, this apparition occurred in Banneux, Belgium. The Virgin Mary appeared 8 times to the 11-year-old Mariette Bacot. She identified herself as the Virgin of the Poor, who would intercede for the poor and the suffering. She then revealed a miraculous spring and encouraged Mariette to pray very much. A chapel was built on the site shortly afterwards. The site is responsible for many conversions, including Mariette's own father, and over 50 miraculous healings. 500,000 pilgrims visit the site of the apparitions every year. Our Lady of Kibeho, 1981 to 1989. This apparition took place in Kibeho, Rwanda. Also known as the appearance of the Mother of the Word, this occurred when the Virgin Mary, dressed in all white, appeared to the 3 children Alphonsine, Nathalie, and Marie as they were out playing. When asked by Alphonsine, "Who are you?" the reply was, "Nedini wawa jambo," or, "I am the Mother of the Word." She continued, "I have come to calm you because I have heard your prayers. I would like your friends to have faith because they do not believe strongly enough." She then continued to visit them throughout the 1980s. She identified herself as the Mother of the Word, which is synonymous with Mother of God, as Jesus proclaimed himself to be the Word made flesh. She revealed to the children terrible visions, which included a river of blood, many people murdered, abandoned bodies, and a great monster surrounded by severed heads. This vision is now considered a prophecy of the Rwandan genocide, which would claim the young visionary Marie only a few years later. Following each apparition, there are reports of conversions, healings, and the sun pulsating, spinning, and then splitting in two. This apparition is unique for the clarification that the Virgin Mary provided around apparitions. She expressed to the children that, whenever she appears in a certain place or to a certain person, she is speaking not only to them, but to the whole world. The revelations provided by apparitions should be applied to the entire community of the faithful. This was the first approved African apparition, and a shrine was built at the site shortly afterwards. Conclusion. This video has only touched upon the 16 church-approved apparitions of the Virgin Mary. It should be remembered that, when counting apparitions, the Vatican follows the proverb of trust but verify. For this reason, some famous apparitions are missing from the official list, and all are early modern rather than ancient. The first apparition dates back to Zaragoza in Spain, around 40 AD. This is because approved apparitions are not actually a measure of the apparition's quality or reliability. Instead, an approved apparition is an appearance that has received the full support of the area's local bishop, who retains the power to clarify and declare apparitions as genuine. For this reason, many apparitions, such as Our Lady of the Pillar, Our Lady of Medjugorje, or Our Lady of Walsingham, either lack the appropriate evidence to be verified, or have simply no need of being verified, as the area's bishop has never found a reason to clarify them. This is in no way a critique of the apparition itself. As always, thank you for watching.